Trek Toys!
You have all been waiting for it. You have watched 30 figure submissions to Playmates Toys to make us our 4.5-inch figures to complete our set. Boy, and now it's time. Now it's time for the top 10. And I'm wondering, what's in your top 10? I really want to know. Comment below.
Before we get there, Keith, I want to ask you, did you just do this? Did you just brain dump and then try to sequentially order them? Or did you just, what was your process?
I mainly brain dumped. And then, because the top 10, I sort of were static the whole time. Then I just put out everything that I, basically 11 through 40 were just figures that I wanted. And then I sort of prioritized them in my head, which ones I want the most. But the top 10, these are near and dear to my heart. These are I want them all. Let me be very clear. I want them all. But these ones I really, really want. These ones feel like giant holes in my collection. They're holes in my heart that I will never be able to fill unless Mr. or Ms. Playmates gives me these toys. I will give you money for them. Hopefully not too much. But
I won't. To be clear, I will not, but I will let Keith do that and then watch him over the internet play with them. But I will review them. If you send them our way, we will we live in 2 different places. You're going to have to send 2 copies, but we will unbox one and we'll send it to Keith, and I'll keep the boxes. Because I have a blank wall over here, and I could start putting some things on shelves. But Keith, to quote the huge Star Trek fans, the Spice Girls, it's time to tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Starting with number 10, let's zig a sig.
Boo. Okay, number 10. Are you ready?
Did you just boo me?
I just booed you on your own show. It's Damar
O'Keeffe.
Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Another O'Keeffe painting. Folks, Damar, interesting, complex character, especially near the end of Deep Space Nine. Very impactful. And played by Casey Biggs, who has done many a Star Trek thing. We talk about singing. He's a singer. He and a couple of other of the Star Trek crew have a little singing group that they perform at the conventions, and we need Damar. It's a really important part of Star Trek Deep Space Nine history. Let us continue. Number 9. Are you ready? I'm nervous.
You're nervous?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Number 9 is Crewman Suitor. Now, I know that most people will be like, why is this so high? Why is Crewman Suitor so high? I don't know. I just find the character fascinating, and I find the concept fascinating. And I love Brad Dourif. Who doesn't love Brad Dourif? He's Chucky, for God's sakes. From Star Trek Voyager, from the episode Meld, and he does come back, no spoilers. But what makes this character interesting, this is the Star Trek question: what do you do if it turns out one of your crew members is a serial killer? A legit, real serial killer. What do you do?
You make a figure.
You make a figure. You make a figure, or maybe he's coming for you. Really fascinating ethical question, and it was a really good payoff for the character because they had to sort of confine him to quarters because there's no prison. They're 80 years from home. What are you going to do? You can't imprison him forever, and they just confine him to quarters until the ship gets taken over, and maybe he's they're like, go to town. Yeah, get to the serial killing. And fascinating character. I think it'd be a great figure. Brad Dourif, let's do it. Number 8. This is an interesting little hole in the series. Folks, it's movie era Geordi. Now, here's one that it surprised me. So late in the Playmates series, they made the Target exclusive of the Next Generation cast in the movie era uniforms, which are some of my favorite figures because those are my favorite types of uniforms. And they made the entire Next Gen cast except for Geordi. for some bizarre reason, they didn't make a figure of Geordi. And I don't get it. And it's a big hole on a lot of people's shelves. I have a custom, so I have a complete set. But I would like a Playmates sanctioned movie era Geordi. I don't know why you didn't make one. Make one for me, please.
So, speaking of that whole, Keith, there is something that we can do since this episode's going to be released topically. Not topically. Yes.
It's sort of topically.
Yeah. So listen, next week. So we are. This is. I guess it'll be the first of next week is what? What's Monday next week on your calendar? You got something for me?
Monday of next week is the 26th.
So on the 26th, I believe that LeVar Burton will be beginning his week stint as Jeopardy host on the 26th.
Oh, yes.
So we need y'all to not just like and subscribe here, but we need you to watch and or DVR and watch next week's Jeopardy episode, because if we can get the rating and the viewership for LeVar's episodes through the roof, I think he could land him the job that he wants and he deserves. I want to see him. So we can maybe use our immense clout, Keith, to do our due diligence for Mr. LeVar Burton and fill in that gap as well.
And so if you're watching the ratings and you notice no difference, you have gotten the KME bump.
Yes, we've done it before. We'll do it again.
All right, let's keep moving with number 7. It's an Oscar winner.
Ooh,
it's
girl.
Kai Wynn from Deep Space Nine. One of the Deep Space Nine has the best villains, the most complex and interesting villains. And Kai Wynn is essentially she becomes the Bajoran Pope, but she's evil as shit. And she is played, of course, by Nurse Ratched herself, Louise Fletcher. Oscar winner Louise Fletcher, and gives an amazing and infuriating performance. She makes you want to punch the screen, and it's oh so satisfying. And how do we not have a figure of Kai Wynn?
For the costume
we have
alone,
so many
weird,
random Deep Space Nine figures, but we don't have Kai Wynn. Wrong. Okay, coming up with number 6, similarly, here we go. Big doings. It's Martok. Of course, played by J.G. Hertzler, a vital character to Deep Space Nine all throughout the war. He is our favorite one-eyed Klingon, Worf's buddy, and battle-tested. He's a huge part of the war. He's a fascinating character. And I don't, you made so many Klingon figures and you didn't do a Martok? It's just wrong, folks. It's just wrong.
It's time to right the wrong.
We need our Martok. And it's a big hole. If you have a Deep Space Nine collection, you don't have a Martok, you don't have a Kai Wynn. It's a big old problem.
Keith, do you hear that?
What's that?
It's the top 5.
Oh, it's the top 5. Oh, here we go. This is going to be another controversial one, but it's just for me. It's my top 5. I want a command medical hologram from the Star Trek Voyager episode Tinker, Tenor, Doctor, Spy. Of course, it is Robert Picardo playing the Doctor. And this is it's such a good episode because it happens a lot, mainly in his fantasy, his daydreaming, and he daydreams that they make an emergency command hologram, just like they do the emergency doctor, and he gets to run the ship, and he gets to wear his red command outfit. It's a great episode. I feel like this figure would be similar to the Command Red Data, which is a hard figure to get. I don't have it yet, but I want it. And I think this one would be a really great special edition or limited edition figure because it's a great episode. It's a great actor. It's a great performance. There's only one Doctor figure. So give us our Command Medical hologram, please. Here we go. Number 4. We are getting into the big ones, folks. We are in the giant figures. And that is, of course, Weyoun. Oh my goodness, they didn't make a Weyoun figure, and it is just wrong. played in impeccable style by Jeffrey Combs, who does many different characters on Star Trek. But this character, so in the Dominion War, the race that they're battling against genetically engineers their entire army. So we met before. They genetically engineered the Jem'Hadar, which are sort of the badass foot soldiers and the warriors. But they also genetically engineered this species to become the leaders. They partly genetically, they cloned, they took another species. Anyway, it's complicated. Point being, these are the leaders of the Jem'Hadar controlled by the Dominion. And they're all clones. So this one character gets killed a bunch of times, but keeps coming back because they're all cloned, and is just such a fascinating and fun villain to play with. He's one of those like smiley villains, charming villains, but is dark as hell. So, and Jeffrey Combs just deserves some action figures. He's so good. So, yeah, another major character in Deep Space Nine didn't get a figure. Deserves one. All right, let's go to number 3. Another big Deep Space Nine, big hole. And that is Esri Dax, who is a major character in Season 7. I'm not going to explain how she arrives because I don't want to give any spoilers to Mr. Indeglio. But she's, we weren't necessarily welcoming to her at the beginning, but she's charming. I find her very talented looking, and she deserves a figure. She was a main cast member for Season 7, and you don't have a Deep Space Nine cast without Esri Dax.
All right. Then we got to get it.
We got to get it. All right. There's only 2 more. Can you guess who it is? Can you guess who it is, folks? Number 2. It is Nog in his Starfleet uniform. It's Aaron Eisenberg, of course, who started out as a little boy, or his character was a little boy at the beginning of the series. At the end, he is the first and only Ferengi in Starfleet. No character grew more than Nog did throughout Deep Space Nine and became a huge fan favorite. He had this incredible PTSD storyline throughout the war. Incredible performances by Aaron Eisenberg, incredible storytelling. Plus, that's the uniform I like the best. It's just badass. Who doesn't want a Nog and Starfleet uniform? So for me personally, this is the second most valuable figure that I could get. Mike, are you ready to give us a drum roll?
I am ready. Also, on another tab here, I see that command red data that you're talking about sells for $200.
It sure does.
Holy crap!
Yeah, they are hard to get.
Okay, well, that's why we need to get a review copy of all the new toys on Keith's wish list.
Yes, we do. Okay, number 1. Can you guess? It's another set. It is the entire Deep Space Nine in their movie era Starfleet uniforms. These are the ones that I love the most. They made some of them in 6 inches, but I every time I look at my Deep Space Nine figures, that's not the era of Deep Space Nine that I remember, that I want to remember. It's this era, wearing these uniforms with Worf and who joins the cast. Spoiler alert. And the picture here doesn't have Kira in her Starfleet uniform because that happens in like the last 2 episodes. But I still want my Kira in the Starfleet uniform too. If you're keeping track at home, that is what I desperately want. Is the Deep Space Nine cast in the movie era Starfleet uniforms. Folks, we have gotten through the top 40 action figures that I want Playmates to make here in the revival of the Playmates series. Let me be clear. 4.5 inches. I understand these are just the 90s eras. I know people want Discovery and Enterprise, and I want figures for all of those too. But in order to not take all of Mike's time doing these videos, I limited it to Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. So these are the ones that I really want. These are the ones I desperately want to put on my shelf. So the question remains, what ones do you want? What's your top 10? What are the 10 that we missed? We're probably going to have to do an episode of 10 or 20 that I missed, because Lord knows I did.
It was not even 40 you did, because if you take all the box sets that you created, they got like 15, 20, 30 figures. And we're talking hundreds of figures. So can you do a better job of narrowing it down than Keith did? Because we're going to need a little snippy snip, because they ain't making 6,000 figures. So which
maybe
of the ones
they
that
will
are most
narrow it
important
up.
to you?
Narrow it up. Come on, make it bigger. Add to my list. We're spending fake money anyway, so
That's a good point.
we might as well.
Because the real money, I'm not buying that. So
No, don't say that. Folks, you need to comment below that, yes, Playmates, I will pay hard-earned money for these figures. That's the only way they're going to make them.
Yes, you're right.
So
You're right. Keith is going to pay that money. We're going to watch him play with them. And we're going to watch him play with them on the YouTube. And you can watch along with us. Don't only write in, but go ahead and subscribe. Hit that bell. Are you enjoying this as much as I am, as much as we are? I'm just along for the ride and having one hell of a trip. I'm like Jeff Bezos on Keith's multi-billionaire spaceship to the stars. So go ahead, like and subscribe. Let a friend know that these two nerds are talking fun stuff. And check out our other show. We talk about David E. Kelley's The Practice, but other stuff too. KME Entertainment.
Lots of other stuff. Mostly
Click the
ourselves.
things. They should blink somewhere. Who knows? We're old.
Yeah. The more people who watch this, the more likely Playmates makes these figures. Let them know.
And let them know you want us to review them, because we have lots of clout in the industry.
We have tens of viewers. That's definitely worth it to mail up all of our figures and send them our way.
Until then, this has been
Look at my Star Trek toys!